it. If it's going to change a player's opportunity to get generational wealth,
that's the thing.
Then you have to take it as serious as possible.
Is there also a world where some people are giving him a nod to make sure he gets paid?
I think that's got to be part of the consideration.
I'm not trying to discredit what he did. I'm just saying, does that add to?
I think it's part of the consideration.
Want to.
It has to be part of the consideration because not voting him into an All-NBA team costs him significant money. And the fact that he deserves it and was the engine behind the Pacers winning 47 games and being the #2 offense in the league, like that does matter. And the fact that he was an MVP candidate before he went down, that does matter, even if he kind of tailed off for the second half of the season.
I mean, no disrespect to all of us, but should anybody like us or any writer be able to directly impact the money that a player can make? I think
a devoted committee should. A smaller committee of people that are devoted exactly to this absolutely should. Because if you give a shit and you do your homework, it's not as hard. It's still challenging, but there are so many media members across the country who get to participate in this who just kind of fill it out and don't do their homework.
Oh, so you're saying
almost like the college football.
Okay, right. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I agree. You need to actually narrow down how you judge these things as well. Like, it's so vague. Some people put more emphasis on team success. Others don't. It changes year to year based on who we're talking about.
But that's why you have to watch the games.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. If you have a devoted committee and you maybe narrow down a little bit more, you set better standards of what the criteria are for each level, then it becomes less ambiguous. It becomes less biased. It's not this conversation in song and dance every year.
No, that's the reason why when we're talking about like MVP voting and stuff like that, well, damn near all the East Coast guys only vote for East Coast guys. Like, it's very rare that they vote for a West Coast guy until you get like a freak of nature, like a Jokic or LeBron's on the West Coast or something like that. Like, it's very, very hard for a guy on the West Coast to be able to get that because all those East Coast guys, that's all they want to do. That's all they watch. And that's the other problem is like when you don't. Like, listen, even Gerald, right? Gerald tries to consume as much basketball as he can, but he can only watch so much every day because he's got a full-time job covering one specific team. Right. Like, to ask him to put in a vote based on, what numbers are there or not watching the game. Like, to me, watching the game is just as valuable as the numbers that are presented because you don't know how much of an impact a player really has on the court. And the numbers don't always tell that story.
Right.
And so, like, you can't judge it just based off of numbers alone, but too many people do, and that's the problem.
But couldn't that be part of the argument people are using against Book? Because if you only watched certain games, you saw, like, if you don't watch all 82, you spot watched a few things, you could point to times where you're like, well, on the court, it doesn't look as good as on paper, too. I love the college football playoff kind of committee where it's not just media members. Maybe there's a couple media members, a retired coach, former front office, former players. So you get a more diverse look at it. If it's going to change a player's opportunity to get generational wealth,
that's the thing.
Then you have to take it as serious as possible and really, really dig deep to make those decisions.